What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy, the channel where you can get your absolute fill of r/choosing beggars stories. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. It's straight out of the fryers, but it's still not hot enough. Posted by user Daddy-Corbs. Hello, Reddit. Thank you for taking the time to read this over. Just thought it was a funny story to post on here. Anyways, let's get started. The cast is me, CBL, Lady Choosing Beggar, CBG, Guy Choosing Beggar, CCW1, Cool Coworker, CCW2, another cool coworker, and CM, Cool Manager. So last summer, I was working at a summer job in a fast food restaurant when I came home from school. I was quickly getting adapted into the new environment as I was picking up how to do everything. My advisor did a great job about telling me what to do and what not to do, so props to him. Now let's get to the juicy stuff. I was about the halfway point from my job starting to when I needed to go back to school. I was working at the register with CCW, and we were having a cool conversation about what we did over the summer and what we were planning on doing in the future, as it was around 3 p.m. and the place was dead at the time. Enter the Choosing Beggar couple. They both were seniors, boomers, around their 60s. I take their order, which was our most expensive combo. They take their seat at the corner of the restaurant, and the food gets out pretty quickly. After a little while, I ask them how their food is, and this is the response I get. Me. How is your food tasting this afternoon? Choosing Beggar Lady.
It's actually a bit cold. Is there a possibility that you can remake it?
Me. Of course. Just give us a few minutes. I politely take their plate back and ask if I can get a fresh order because their food was too cold. CCW2 and CM nodded in agreement. I told the Choosing Beggar couple that their food would be out shortly. A few moments later, keep in mind, fresh from the fryers and cooked properly to our company's standards, I give the food back to her. I was signaled back again. Choosing Beggar Guy. Do you mind if we speak to your manager? Me. A bit confused. Sure, I'll bring him right up. I go back and ask CM to see the Choosing Beggar couple. My manager told me this is how it went down. Choosing Beggar Lady.
This food is still cold. Is there any way you can remake it again and we keep this?
CM. I'm sorry it came out cold, but we can give you a new plate straight from the fryer. Choosing Beggar Lady.
If it comes out cold again, we will leave a bad review so no one will want to go there.
Only problem was that we were the best fast food restaurant in that city and get a lot of customers daily. So we decided to make another order. At this point, we were wasting food and give them their food straight from the fryers. CM hands it to them as CCW1 and I watch. They motion for CM to come back again. Choosing Beggar Lady.
Excuse me, is this hot food? Because it sure doesn't look like it.
There was steam coming up from the plate. CM, annoyed. Yes, it is. I cooked it and made it fresh from our fryers. Choosing Beggar Lady literally points at the coleslaw.
Then why is this cold?
CM, because it is supposed to be cold. Choosing Beggar Lady strongly insists.
Can you make a new one? The food got cold.
The two CCWs and I were laughing at this point. CM. No, we cannot. In fact, we gave you 2 meals for free, and yet you complain that it is cold when it is straight out of the fryers. Choosing Beggar Guy jumps in on the combo. I'm giving this place 1 star on Yelp. You should be fired for such absurd actions. The Choosing Beggar couple gets up and leaves and gets boxes so they can have all of the free food. As soon as they leave, I say, "You're welcome." And they gave me a nasty stare. My CM bought me food to take home and enjoy. I very much did after my shift was over. CM, the two CCWs, and I joked about it through the summer, and I met them again over my Thanksgiving break. I never thought that these people actually existed, but I'm glad that I can finally have a story about one. I'll try to find better stories because I feel like there will be more in the future. Have a happy holidays, people. Yep, always. Okay, you guys might have remembered me mentioning that I worked at Red Lobster before. There are a lot of boomers and, seniors that like to have lunch at Red Lobster, and you don't know how many times I've seen this happen. Some of them, I'm not generalizing all of them, but there are a lot that go in and they take so long, they're chatting over their coffee that they forget their food is in front of them. I don't know if it's the medication they're taking or what. They forget that the food's in front of them, and then it goes cold, and then they're like, oh, can you remake this, please? It's like, no, Martha, stop it. Choosing beggar aunt guilt trips my father into giving her $50 million over the course of 40 years. Posted by user Imusti Tanvir. So my father left his house at the age of 18 to build his life. Note that it is very uncommon to leave home in Pakistan. He built his career up from basically nothing, and he loves his family unconditionally, even neglecting me and my siblings for them at times. This includes his asshole siblings who'd use any opportunity they get to scam some money out of my dad. His sister, the choosing beggar here, her husband died when her kids were young, and my father basically bought them a house, sent them money every month so they could continue living. If he ever asked her to do a job, she'll just start guilt-tripping my dad that how he can leave his sister like that, and how hard it is for a single mother to raise children. Her son was shot dead, and her other son accepted a Toyota Corolla in blood money. A Corolla is a big thing in Pakistan because of taxes and imports and low income. My dad's $24,000 a year income was considered a huge amount in my country. My father bought them a Toyota Hilux as well, a fucking huge deal in my country, because she couldn't travel through the uneven roads in a Corolla and it hurt her back. Of course, my dad refused at first, but she started guilt-tripping him again, and he, like a blind idiot for his siblings, gave him that too. This year, for my college, my dad had promised to get me a Corolla, and we had made a deal as well. The news reached them, and she came all the way to another province to meet my dad. Her requirement this time was a brand new car, several $1,000s expensive than the car I was getting, for her daughter that had to go to high school. Bear in mind that I traveled to my high school, 45 kilometers away, in mediocre and shitty public transportation that Pakistan has, and she wants a brand new car to go like 5 kilometers away. My dad refused, and she guilt-tripped him again, going as far as shaming him in front of my dad's whole family, saying that he wants his widow sister to die in a slum. They're far richer than us at this point. My father finally kneeled and got her the car she wanted, in the color she wanted, but used. He couldn't get a new one as we're going through a very bad financial downfall, and he basically spent the last of his savings on that car. 2 months later, her elder daughter is getting married, and my father is specifically not invited because he bought them a used car that didn't even have a spare wheel. My father was very sad because of this. I even saw him sitting alone sobbing after all he had done for them. This is how they get back at him. Dad was then outcast by the whole family because she told him that my father asked her to pay back all the money he ever spent on them. He never did. Wow, that is fucked up. That is fucked up. I am so sorry for that man. You do so much for that sister, way more above and beyond any brother would be expected to do for their sister, at least in the society I live in. That's just insane, and I don't understand how you could do that to your own family. Like, you're that upset about getting a used car that you're going to ostracize him from the rest of the family. Like, I know what that's like because I had an aunt that did this. Like, she lied and made up stories about my family to get people on her side. And it's the stupidest shit ever, the whole thing. But, I know what it's like for that to happen. And it's really sad. And I feel sorry for people that have to go through stuff like that with their own blood family. That's sad. I said that once or twice. Choosing Beggars After a House Fire. Posted by user peace-love-and-pause. My husband's job was being transferred to another state. We were having to downsize from a 4,000 square foot home to a 1,500 square foot home in another state. We were about to have a huge yard sale to get rid of some of the items. Furniture, clothes, gym equipment, housewares we couldn't take with us. A friend I've known since kindergarten lost her home due to a fire just before we were ready to advertise our sale. My heart was broken for her and her family. I can't imagine how devastated I'd feel if I lost everything I have. I invited her and her family to come over and get anything we had for sale that they might need. All they had to do was choose what they wanted and haul it away. I even offered them a place to hold any furniture they might want until they could find a more permanent storage solution. I really wanted to give as much as I could to help them start over. I should have known something was off when she complained about our conflicting schedules. I worked office hours. My hubby is second shift. Friend worked graveyard shift and her hubby worked second shift. We ended up taking a day off to accommodate their schedule. When they come to our house, I told her she could have anything that was marked with a post-it note. We'd priced what was for sale that way. She scoffed at the price tags, remarking several times at how high the prices were. I told her she could have, for free, any item with a tag. She went around the house seemingly displeased at what I had to offer. She seemed offended that my nicer items, the ones that I was taking with me, weren't things I would give to her. Like, no, I'm taking my flat-screen TV and antique bedroom suite with me. She even scoffed at the clothing selection we had marked for sale because they weren't her style. In the end, she only took the treadmill, elliptical, and the piano, saying they would do for now. Seriously? Edited for misspelling. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, out of all of the items they took a treadmill, elliptical, and piano. You really need those things? Do you even have a house right now? Like, what? I'm sorry, but like, priorities. Priorities, people. Oh my god. That is insane. That is like ultimate choosing beggar. I wouldn't even be surprised if she made up the whole freaking losing her house shit too. You know what I'm saying? You never know with these ones. They're like master manipulators and great at lying. You just don't know. Well, maybe not always great at lying, but they sure as hell give it a good go. Highly respected professional expected me to do extra work for zero compensation. Posted by user Rachel Please. TLDR, we're not going to read it. This has fortunately been the only choosing beggar I have ever had to deal with in my 6+ years of being a fine artist. About 3 years ago, I was contacted to illustrate a children's book. The author is a well-known, well-respected professional and politician in my state, and the pay was $1,200 for about 20 pages of professional illustrations. This was my first children's book illustration gig, so I was stoked, and was afraid to ask for a half up front as I was a bit naive and intimidated. I completed all the illustrations, met with the author, and she went wild over it. She said she would be in touch about payment and when the book will be published. Fast forward about 5 months, she finally reaches out to say that the book wasn't able to get published and that she is upset as she was looking forward to it. So I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I'm still going to be paid, right? Nope. She wasn't going to pay me. I should have stood my ground and been adamant about getting paid, but I was a young artist and didn't want to burn a bridge with an accomplished author and professional, so I remained civil and chalked it up as a learning experience. I really should have cut my ties with this woman right then and there. Well, back in January, I was contacted to illustrate a political children's book for her. It wasn't really my kind of thing, but I agreed because I am now more experienced and not afraid to stand my ground and demand I get paid. The gig was $1,000 for 20 pages of artwork. Cool. But this time, I demanded half up front and the other half when I complete the drawings. She agrees, and I get paid $500 cold, hard buckaroonies. Awesome. This is going great so far. Or so I thought. I completed the 20 drawings, met up with her and the co-author, and they went nuts over them, said they're perfect, blah, 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 blah. I asked if anything needed to be changed, and they said no. Cool. I was paid the rest of the $500. I thought this was a job well done and was glad I decided to give her another chance. Maybe the last book was just a fluke and she is actually good for her word. Nope. Fast forward to April. They need 4 additional pages done for the book. I said, cool, that will be an additional $200. She was flabbergasted.
Excuse me? We already paid you $1,000 and you agreed to do the artwork for this book. You cannot ask for more money.
She paid me to do 20 pages for $1,000. That is $50 a page, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than almost every other children's book illustrator I know. So I explained that I needed to be compensated for these extra 4 pages. She says she has no more money to give, which is bullshit because I know she is loaded, and that without these 4 drawings, we will not be able to complete the book. Again, stupid me, not wanting to burn a bridge with this well-known woman, obliged and decided to create the extra 4 pages. She was happy. Cool. Whatever. I still got $1,000 and another publication under my belt. This, however, was not the end. In August, she asked me to change 2 of the drawings I had already done. Now remember, I asked her back in January if anything needed to be changed, and she said no, they're perfect. I was traveling during this time and wouldn't be able to complete them until October, and that I would only do them for $100. She, surprisingly, agreed to these stipulations. I come home. I get the artwork finished and let her know it's done and tell her to please send over $50 before I email the artwork to her, as I had a feeling she wasn't going to pay me. I wait and wait and wait and wait. No response until this evening. I got a text from her stating that she has not received my artwork and wondered where it was. I tell her I had completed it and was waiting on half up front before I sent it over to her. She freaked out on me and claimed that she was
maybe going to pay me for the extra work, but it wasn't a definite.
Maybe? She was maybe going to pay me for my work? I about lost my shit. She claimed I am unprofessional, is disappointed in me, and that she thought she was doing a young artist a favor. I replied I don't do artwork with the promise of maybe getting paid. I then told her about all the previous times I was disrespected by her and felt as though I'd been taken advantage of as a young artist. I told her I will no longer send over the artwork and for her not to worry about payment, and that our professional relationship ends here. I'm still shaking from anger and fear as I'm afraid she could ruin my reputation among other authors and artists. But overall, I'm glad I finally stood up for myself, even though it took about 3 years. Edit. She also claimed that she was going to help propel my career as an artist. She knows so many authors and will recommend me to everyone. That was 3 years ago, and I haven't gotten any business from her. I think she was just lying to me / guilt-tripping and pressuring me into continuing to do free work for her. Yeah, sounds like it. Oh my god. My dude, this woman... You know what? I'm sorry, you're not a professional if you don't request money up front. Like, I would expect any artist to at least ask for half up front. And holy shit, it is like hailing outside right now, my dudes. Wow. But yeah, anyway, sorry. That's my ADD acting up there. um, but yeah, like you can't just you have to cover your own ass for this stuff because I'm in many different crafting groups on Facebook and I see this happen to people all the time, especially for custom work. They'll take the job, they'll put all the work into it, and then the person ghosts them. Or they'll ghost them for so long that that person has no choice but to try to sell it to somebody else. And when they finally do succeed in selling it to somebody else, that person finally messages them and they're like, "Oh, would you take $2?" Like, no, bitch, I won't. Like, and it's gone anyway. So, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes though they can't sell something because it's personalized so much that it's not going to appeal to everybody, so they got to eat that cost. That's fucking bullshit to do that to somebody, you know? Like, especially, well, not even especially, it's just bullshit to do that to somebody. All right, my dudes, and the last story of the day is called Choosing Beggar is furious when her parents sell their house that she planned to inherit. Posted by user sweet_justice_. Well, this fine Choosing Beggar example has just blown up with our friends over the weekend. My husband's former best friend married several years ago, and it's safe to say their relationship is very toxic. She is very selfish and manipulative, so although we are friends, he has no close friends anymore and can't go to anywhere or see anyone without her. Anyway, ever since we've known her, she has been telling everyone about her parents' lovely home in a very pricey part of town overlooking the river. She grew up there with her brother and moved out at 22. She's in her 30s now, but is always there visiting with her parents and her kids. The parents aren't very well. Both have health problems and are in their 60s and 70s. A few months ago, we had dinner at their place, and they showed us some blueprints for a renovation they were planning on her parents' house. I thought it was odd, but assumed they were helping her parents out as they wouldn't have a clue how to plan a reno. Fast forward to this weekend, and our friend turns up at our place, saying they've had a massive fight because her parents had announced to the family that they were selling up and moving to a property in the country to focus on their health. They offered each of their children a $30,000 cash gift from the sale of the house. This was at family dinner, and instead of being grateful for the gift, it turned into a shouting match with Choosing Beggar storming out. Apparently, Choosing Beggar was absolutely furious because she had spent $35,000 on architect plans for the renovations, which sounds fair if the parents had asked for their help. However, it turns out neither her parents or brother had any idea about the renovation plans. This was her own plans based on her assumption that when her parents died, apparently she thought that wasn't far off, she would be their sole heir of their house. She obviously didn't think their brother would be entitled to anything. In addition to this, she had already enrolled their kids into a prestigious school close by the parents' house and paid almost $5,000 in advance fees. They start school in 2 years, which is not refundable. She is now threatening to try and sue her parents to stop the sale of the house, which she claims should be a family decision, not a selfish one. L-O motherfucking L. Our friend has no idea about any of this. He was under the impression the parents had asked for her help and has now found out she had used some of their savings to pay the architect. Her argument is that she thought they'd get all back anyway when the house comes to them. She put a massive rant on social media, which was taken down shortly after when she realized the comments weren't going her way. Man, I wish I had screenshot. Here's hoping this is the end of this toxic relationship and we get our friend back. Holy shit. Why? This, my dudes, oh my goodness. So, my psycho ex that you guys have heard me talk about before and his crazy family, they did, I wouldn't say they flipped houses. What they would do is they would buy properties, completely demolish the houses on the property, and rebuild from scratch. This is what they did. So they were able to afford a $2 million house in Toronto. Now, again, that same house in another area, like in a different, not in the GTA, it would probably be like a $500,000 house, I would guess. Maybe less, maybe like 300,000 to 400,000. It was a nice house, but it wasn't like anything insane. You know what I mean? But like I said, they had money from flipping these properties, and my ex and their siblings thought that they were going to keep this house forever because apparently they'd lived there for I don't remember if they'd lived there like their whole lives or what, but they were there for a very long time. It was their childhood house. And they lost their fucking shit when they found out that their parents were selling it. And this was shortly before I broke up with my ex. So things were pretty tense at that point already because he was being told that they're moving. Or sorry, he found out after we broke up. So on top of him harassing me constantly, trying to get me to come back, it was him constantly crying about losing his family's house and thinking it was going to get left to him. And then it's just a bunch of crybabies, like first world problems, like, you know what I mean? But his parents, when they sold the place, ended up giving them a big chunk of money to buy their own places. But one of his older sisters, his parents bought their house outright for them. There's a whole lot of shady shit that was happening there with purchasing of houses. They would purchase them in their son-in-law's name to, I don't know, get around taxes or something. I don't know. They're just they're shady. That whole family's fucked, man. They're all fucked. But what it all boils down to is we just need to be nice to each other, people. I say this so much and I just want it to come true. That is my wish, for everyone to just be nice to each other, because then life would just be beautiful. Alright, my dudes, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, share, because sharing is caring, my dudes. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Otherwise, you'll never know when I have a new video, and that would be a tragedy. So until next time, my dudes, you have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.